This conference will now be recorded.
4:30, so we'll call the Public Safety Committee. July 8th. Let's call the roll this year.
Councillor Halverson,
Here.
Councillor Best, Councillor Foster, Councillor Sanchez. Here.
I would get a motion to approve the minutes and the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda for July 18th, 2023, and also at the same time approve the minutes of the Public Safety Committee meeting on June 13th, 2023.
Yes.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passed. First item on our regular agenda is consider resolution 23XX condemnations. Mr. Franco.
I only have one today, Madam Chair. And this one has been condemned before, it's just changed ownership. We reached out to the new property owner and still no response.
We actually bought it when it was condemned.
I'm sorry?
Somebody actually bought
Yeah,
it.
you can buy a condemned house. It'll just be condemned into your name. And that's what happened here.
Any discussion from councilors about this house? Public? All right.
I'd like to make a motion to consider, to send this resolution to consent agenda.
Aye.
Okay, so any no more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes. Next item is review and ranking and dispatch animal control fire and police capital project for the ICIP. Mr.
Okay,
Fuentes.
Madam Chair, committee members, I will start this item off. So this is the annual ICIP process that we go through, just for the benefit of the present and anybody who may be listening online. I'll just go through the PowerPoint real quick. This is the capital improvement project, we that are known as the ICIP for 2025, 2029. This is a plan that establishes priorities for anticipated capital projects. It is a state coordinated ICIP process that requires all municipalities, counties to submit a ICIP plan. It is a 5-year plan. As you can see there on the deadlines, we're talking about special districts, tribal governments, counties, municipalities, and senior citizen facilities. And our ICIP is due to DFA by August 18th. Go to the next slide. The one before it. Again, the intent of the list is to allow for discussion and decision among staff and city council on which projects to prioritize for funding. The process and actions to consider, committee recommendations of the top projects ranking to the full city council, adoption of the FY 25-29 ICIP list for submission in August, and we use that to submit the list of priorities to the state legislature in December. 30-day session begins in January 16th at the legislative session, so it will be a very quick session. The next slide, the one before. That one is just to give everybody a visual picture of the funding process of all of the funding agencies. We're in July, so we start talking about the ICIP process. They've been ICIP workshops held with all of the entities throughout the state. It's been an online training. And we've already received notice, example of the Water Trust Board notice of intent. Since we received Water Trust Board money last year, and that's what the council approved at the last council meeting, that resolution, we don't qualify for that funding source. But that's just to give you how things start lining up throughout the year. And then we'll be going into the December legislative session in January. And then we go through all of these funding agencies to see what we can apply for.
So do we not qualify ever again or just for this?
We will be able to, but we have to finish the projects that we've been awarded,
Oh, okay.
and then we can go back and reapply. One of the things that happened to us this year with the Water Trust Board application was because we had an open project with the Edgewood water line, and we hadn't completed that project, we had to request that waiver. And we weren't the only ones, so a lot of municipalities were granted that waiver. So. And the same goes with CDBG. We can apply for CDBG projects. We'll go to the next slide. So last year's resolution for the ICIP, as you can see there, we have the Country Club Reservoir, that was number one. The storm drainage projects, the large diameter water lines, the PD vehicles, sanitation shop remodel, adult center, building maintenance, and the air center terminal. So that was the resolution that the council adopted last year. We'll go to the next slide. All of the projects that are underlined are the projects that were on the ICIP resolution that got some funding from the legislature. The $2 million for the air center terminal expansion, $800,000 for the storm drain on Bratcher Road, some water line large replacement in the junior bill, $485 for the PD vehicles, and of course, the Country Club Reservoir and Hudson Road, and those are the two water trust board projects. Go to the next slide. So again, this is just to kind of give you all just an overview of what you have in your packet, and then we'll go to the next slide. So these are all the departments and the committees that everybody's reporting to go over the projects. Next slide. That's just to give you how we've been laying out all of the committee meetings, and today is the public safety. So we'll start with the, in your packets, you have all of the departments. We have dispatch, we have animal control, fire, and then police. So if we can start with dispatch, what we're asking, we have dispatch, and we'll go over the projects, and then we make a recommendation for dispatch.
Good afternoon. So for the radio project, it's actually almost complete. Currently, it's working out bugs. We found some errors in it where we're actually missing radio traffic, which is a huge officer safety issue. They're actually there today and found where we had missed some transmissions that hadn't come across. So that is actually almost complete. For the radio console, that is one thing that we're working on too, because it again ties into the radio system, and they're actually there today working on it as well, and finding that tying with the radios, we're missing communications. So that's a huge thing for all of our departments that we dispatch for. For the CAD project, the CAD that we bought in 2012 is actually being discontinued. So we're losing a lot of the features because they're not upgrading it. We also would like to have all the county departments tie into the CAD, because right now you currently can get some information from dispatch, but then you have to go to the other departments to get the other information, like for the sheriff's office and all. We also want our CAD to be able to tie into RPD's RMS system, which is where we run everybody and put all of our warrants and everything.
Okay, so no. The voice over IP, wasn't that on last year's too?
Yes, ma'am. For the consoles,
Okay.
yes. We've had Zetron out, which is our vendor, and due to lack of solutions from the vendors, when he was out here a couple of weeks ago, he was actually finding errors that they didn't even know existed.
What's the process?
So they've ranked them, Madam Chair, Councilors, they've ranked them 1 and 2. But if you're in concurrence with their ranking of the number 1, number 2 project, then that's sufficient for us. There.
We have to vote on that, or?
We can do them all and then vote
Okay.
at the end.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure what was on last year's, but since I've been here, the drains at animal control are a big issue. The flow of it, the metal. The metal over the drains they're rusted out. And then for the officers, new trucks that would have ramps, that would probably help with the complaints of how the animals are controlled, lifted into the trucks, things like that.
The vehicle replacement would include ramps?
Sorry, what?
What the vehicles you're looking at replacing them with have ramps?
Ramps, and then adding laptops and for the officers.
So are you,
I'm not sure that, we can get new vehicles, but to put the radios in the trucks where we can take photographs of the animals and bring it back and dock it for all the trucks is about 23 to 26,000 just for the communication. Outfit the trucks.
Is that, oh, that's the electronic systems upgrade though.
Yeah, I think so. What's it say on there?
You know, with the capability with CAD.
Yeah.
So
It's a $50,000 request.
question.
Well, you're not going in the order that you wanted them. From what I understand, the boots on the ground, they want to get the drains fixed and up and running. So that's one. So need to change the 2 to the 1. And then you're saying that whether we get new vehicles or not, which is usually a pretty big wish, you would rather have the electronic systems instead at 2. And that would make it 3,200, which I think you should be able to put those 2 together and then do your vehicle replacement last. So put the electronic systems upgrades together with the drainage issues, make the price a little bit bigger instead of little small prices. And Mr. Fuentes can explain that to you, that they like better,
Yeah.
meatier things than just,
Did last time, yeah.
okay.
Because I was going to ask, because when we had small ones like the 10,000, you were saying they could use that from the building fund or something or another. But yeah, if you could put them together, like you said.
Madam Chair and committee members, so yes, I think even when you combine items like this, the legislators would prefer smaller, and if this item it made it to the top 5. But it also will allow the council to be able to consider either funding this project internally if the department does not have the resources internally, and combine them, then you should be able to, if the money is there, then you can fund it too. So it's both an internal and external list that we can seek funding.
For Councilor Best's recommendation, can we combine number 2 and 3 into 1 and then put both of these on there? Don't have any opposition to that?
For us.
Okay, let's do that.
Combine 2, 3.
Yeah. So out of 2 and 3, then doing that, is the vehicle replacement still number 1 on your list, or is?
No, it bumped down to number 3 or number 2. Since you put those 2 together, you'd have that as 1, and then your vehicle would bump down to.
So number 2.
They wouldn't consider those as important as the electronic system, which would be me more important, but hey.
Okay. Any more questions on animal control? Thank you, Shanta. And Jim? Next is fire.
I apologize, the numbers are a little confusing there. When I tried to take all that extra stuff off from years past, it was trying to delete everything. And so it's kind of jumbled up there, but one is vehicles for the replacement of the admin and staff vehicles. We've got some that, off the top of my head, I don't know, but they got to be pushing 15 years old and older as far as the admin side. But basically that one, the price there we're looking at would be replacing 4 of them. We've got one 3/4 ton big Dodge pickup that's in brand spanking new shape. But what we were hoping we could do is switch that one over to the battalion chief's vehicle that they run 24/7, and then replacing that with smaller half-ton admin vehicles. And then 2, unfortunately, we're going to have to do this one way or the other, but we've got to replace the stucco on the entire front face of Fire Station 3. Water got in between the stucco and the actual wall of the metal building that is the framework. And so it's all coming apart and falling off around the window. So that was another one of those. And then 3, unfortunately, is one that's been kicked. That's kind of one that's been kicked down the road for several years, a lot of years. The asphalt parking area and driveway area out at the training field is a little rough. And we're working with Quinn to try and get it patched and sealed and stuff. But one of the things that we kind of threw this in is number 3. when we do get to the point where we can work on that asphalt, we're wanting to add a couple of more smaller concrete pads off to the side to be able to add certain training props that won't be burning on the asphalt, because that's one of our kickers. We can't really burn anything on the asphalt. So that's kind of what the plan for that one is.
Okay, any questions for fire? All right, thank you for that. Next is police.
Afternoon. I think I got a.
Right here.
Oh, there we go.
I got you covered.
Better than the fire department.
He said he was going to pay me back.
So number one on our list, we have replaced the roof structure from the base and redesign the roof to not allow water buildup. What we have out here at our west evidence lot next to state police is the roof was repaired a couple years ago, but all they've done over the years is patch it, and it's caused all kinds of issues. We can go to the next one. Right here was built in the 60s by National Guard, given to the city of Roswell in 1991. Yeah, like I said, approximately 2020, the roof was redone. We've moved a lot of our evidence out there due to issues at the Roswell Police Department building where we stored it. So we are storing a lot of evidence out there right now. During the big rainstorms that we had about a month ago, we had major water damage inside. Right here, just one part. As you walk around the building, and it's a big building, there's water leaking from every part of the building, so it's not one area. So looking at it, I think it's better to go with a whole rebuild on the roof. All it does is that water just sits in the middle, and it's just going to cause problems. So we need something long-term to do this, and I think this will help us get where we need to be.
Where'd you get the amount?
Off of Custom Construction, did a quick. They came out to look at some other stuff, and they did us a quick bid.
Oh, okay.
So it was, I think, right around 300,000, but with there's going to be more issues, so we put it at 400,000 to be safe, give us a little latitude. But he kind of agreed, and so did Justin, that we need to put some kind of
Need a pitch on it.
like a pitch on it to get that water to go off, because it's not doing
It just
that.
sits, yeah.
And we could patch it again. I don't know what the last patch cost. I mean, quite a bit, I'm sure, but we could keep doing that for years, and we're just gonna flush money down the toilet.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two we have on our list is police vehicles again. We got funded for anywhere, it's gonna get us around 7 to 8 police vehicles. So we got 485,000 out of the 750 last year. Our fleet is in horrible shape. We have, just for instance, we have, I believe, 5 Crown Victorias 2009s. 3 of them you can't even read the mileage on anymore. So we don't know. We're guesstimating well over 150,000, because the other 2 Crown Vics are well over 150,000. Most police agencies try to get their fleet, I guess, replaced about 5 years. So we've got vehicles that are police vehicles that we have to respond to calls for service and stuff going on 15 years old. So we definitely need to replace those and get our fleet up to the standards. I think 2 weeks ago, we had a vehicle pursuit. I think we blew a transmission and we blew an engine on another vehicle. So these older vehicles are not only costing the city money in repairs, they're taking our officers down from calls we have to respond to. The third on our list is a new command post to replace an outdated one. We don't really have a command post right now for our needs. We can use the Roswell Fire Departments, but we saw with like the UFO Festival, the fire departments was in use up by or when I saw it at least, up by the concert area. We also had a fireworks show and other events going on. We also have other large events hopefully coming to Roswell in the near future, and larger events going on right now. This will be a command post that will be used, for different situations, big events. catastrophic events and also our crime scene. You know, our crime scene teams show up to calls and incidents that happen, and they can go in there and process evidence if there's bad weather and stuff. So I think we're one of the only agencies around here of our size or bigger that doesn't really have a command post for use on big events. So those are the three things we're asking for this year. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's it.
But do you, your committee, do you want a motion? Do you just want to leave it as is?
But do you need a motion?
No, I don't need a motion.
Yeah, if everybody's in concurrence of, as a staff presented them, we'll make sure that's on the
So what?
official one that goes
Yeah,
to
so what we'll
council.
do, after we've gone through all the committees, we'll compile it on one worksheet. We'll do the exercise of putting down some of the sheets. that-
Yeah. And you combine for animal control those two?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sure it's not easy. Pick and choose.
Yeah. Come back of, that each day, out, yeah. Come back,
On these,
yeah.
so you pick the top 2 or 3? They go to the,
Out, come back, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it'll go to full council, and then the council will use the dots like we do every year to pick the top 5. All these will stay, they're still on the ICIP, so all this goes to Santa Fe.
No. Yeah, come back, yeah,
To his request?
yeah, yeah. I do come back every day. Yeah. I know that each day that yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I say.
Yeah. I know today that yeah.
Other issues in addition to these, you know of other issues in addition to?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they come back to the Virgin Day. Yeah. Come back. Yeah. I know Jews in there. Yeah. Shoot. How many? Yeah.
You could type it out for me or send me an email or,
Yeah.
and I'll.
Yeah. Writing. Yeah. Yeah.
There's fire there
Yes.
and the police.
Yeah. Come back every day. Yeah.
Same thing.
It's the same thing every year.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this,
Because we had arguments over it last year. If you remember right, we had quite a discussion over it. And you're right. And I understand the new command post that you want to get that, but CASA has let us use theirs. And I assume you know that.
Yeah.
That CASA is letting us use theirs until we can get there.
Yeah, Costa has said they would let us use it. Theirs is a lot bigger than we need, so I don't know if I want to take the responsibility of a Roswell police officer driving their large $1 million vehicle and damaging it when it's not ours. So that becomes a liability, also kind of becomes an insurance liability for us damaging someone else's equipment. And if something were to happen to our officer that was responsible for driving it, and I'm not sure on a vehicle that big if they have to have a Class C license or not.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, so,
Why?
Well, and these are, like I said, this is just a list that goes to Santa Fe to try to get the legislators to give us some money. That they don't, we get very little funding.
And they've been the same for 12 years. They've been the same list for 12 years.
Yeah.
And so the only other way to fund most of these projects is either through a grant that we apply through or the city having the finances to fund these projects. So we apply for grants, we try to get things, but if it's a 50-50 grant, then you still got to have 50% of that 400,000. So you still got some finances that you got to come up with to meet the obligations of that grant. And very seldom do you get a 100%. But they are out there, but you don't get, they're few and far between. So,
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Because the state doesn't give us the money for these, even though we put them up there.
Yeah.
The state doesn't give us the money for them. So we put them up every year until they decide to.
well, you seen on Mr. Fuentes' presentation, you guys sent up the top 5 requests from the city council. They did fund a few of those, but they also funded things that we didn't even ask for.
So go call your politician.
Yeah.
And they're not going to listen to you anyway, so.
I called one out. We had a presentation and a representative was there and I said,
They don't-
I want to see your graph that shows how much money comes from Southeast Mexico and how much you
Yeah.
send back. She goes, yeah, that'd be a good graph. I go, yeah. Would be a good graph.
Well, yeah, we fund the state.
Yeah.
Do you have something?
and Miller did just look it up. You wouldn't need someone with a Class C license to drive the Casa.
Oh, okay.
But see, yeah.
They've also talked about the issue too, if CASA has it at some event and something happens and we need it.
Yeah, you're out of luck.
Oh. Why?
There's no money.
She's right, no money because they're greedy. Anything above I-40 is greedy.
They give all the money to them. They don't send it down here.
Yeah.
We keep going and asking. We're going to continue to ask, continue to go up there and try to get every penny we can.
Golly.
Why don't you run for representative?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got my vote.
Okay.
Golly. Shoot.
Shoot. All right, moving on. I think you're still support.
Yeah. Yeah. Shoot.
There's a lot we need. We just don't have the. All right, moving on, regular item number 5. Or is there any more questions on any of this? We good? Didn't need a motion. So. Item number 5 is consider purchase of the gray key supplied by Gray Shift LLC. Training.
You're up, sir.
The police department's seeking approval for the purchase of a gray key. What this is a device that allows us to access information on cell phones. Currently, we have Cellbrite, but it has limitations, especially with iOS or Apple devices. It's much more advanced, it's much faster, and it does have the capability to extract data from iPhones. With the purchase, it's a 1-year minimum contract, a total of $13,488. If it does get approved, the Underground Railroad will fund $6,000 for a first-time user discount, which would bring the total cost down to $7,480. If Gray Key is functioning and the need is required for additional years and it's successful, then this added cost for contracts, we would continue to try to fund that with law enforcement.
And will the 7,000 be covered by grant too, or? 74.
Yes, ma'am, and what we covered.
So the 6,000 underground railroad and the 7,400 you can get from other grants?
I'm sorry.
The 7,400 that's remaining you can get from other grants?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we can cover, we can cover the extended amount that the underground railroad will not cover. We have that either by our budget or through the LATF grant.
Okay.
So is the stuff you pull off the cell phone submissible in court?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, just like the cell right.
We have not only future use for it, we have phones currently in evidence from historical cases that we were never able to extract information off of.
That's what I was going to ask, if that happened. So this will make you, so you can get that information. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
I didn't have a question, just for clarification. It says legal review. Was that just reviewed by our legal department, not legal committee? Is that correct?
So, yes, sir, it was not reviewed by the legal committee, it was just reviewed at the lead job.
Okay. I just want to make sure that that's clear because it says legal approved.
So if it's paid for by grants and stuff, do we need to send it to finance?
That's y'all's decision.
Probably not, but King would want to know.
I'm just afraid to fight it, even though it's paid for by grants. We probably should though, so,
You know, motion.
yeah, please.
I'd like to make a motion to send the Gray Key supply by Gray Key supply by Gray Shift LLC to full council. Y'all's choice if you want to go to finance or not. I'm sending it to full council.
You think he'll pull it if we do?
I'm not putting it on consent.
Yeah, if you're there, no, not consent, yeah. And then you can be there to tell them it's paid for by grants. You can,
And I'll have a discussion with the chiefs
Yeah.
about whether or not they
so that
want
should
to.
be a problem. I'm fine with that.
I just don't want it to go to council and then get kicked back to another committee and delay this process a month. I understand the whole thing, but our people are the ones that
Have to
ends
decide,
up
yeah.
dealing with the delay. So I'm just trying to,
Finance, would you mind?
He'll send it to finance anyway, whether I send it to full council, because finance is before council.
Okay, that's fine then. Okay.
They just want to hear it by legal and finance, so everybody's on the same boat. I assume that's what this game is.
Okay, do you second her motion?
Yes,
Any more discussion?
yeah.
Anything from the public? Hit no. My computer. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Graduated in 95.
No.
Seeing that all graduating probably December.
So you fully staffed?
We'll be down if we graduate all them, don't lose any more people, we'll be down nine commission positions.
I don't know, you had your boot camp. How many you applied for Saturday?
We had 19 pass physical tests on our experimental open fun tryout day.
Girl.
And yes, we had the first girl pass it. And from what we're hearing, she's planning on coming back this Saturday and taking the official tryout because she wants to shave 30 seconds off her time. It's pretty impressive. And then there was one other girl that tried out. She didn't quite make it in time, but it sounds like she's pretty gung ho about coming back and completing it this time. And then application wise, I think we're at just over 40 when we closed. And it really looks good because I don't remember exactly how many, it was 8 or 9, maybe a few more than that, that already have their EMT basic certification this time.
Oh,
So that's a big plus.
That's really good. Cool. All right. Emergency management.
Our airport exercise is tomorrow.
So we'll be busy. Not business as usual.
Dispatch?
We've got 3 in training. One of them we stole from AMR and she's doing really well so far. The other one had brief dispatch experience and what I understand, she's doing okay. We had one that had started with us and she went out on maternity leave. She just came back, so we're kind of having to retrain a little bit from where she was at. So right now, my shift, I have 2 that I'm training. We still, after that, will have 3 or 4 openings. And I just got some resumes and applications, and I think between the 2 of them, I got about 10. So we'll be looking to hire probably at least 3 more.
Okay, good. Animal control? Did you find your puppy?
We need 2 kennel workers and supervisor, but our officer positions are filled and should start hopefully next week.
When does your best friends come in?
September 5th. The contract says they start September 5th. So I'm guessing they may come in a few days early. I don't know. All right. Code enforcement.
I got one officer that had a surgery on his shoulder from an accident he had working. Somebody rear-ended him, ended up totaling the city truck. PD gave us 3 vehicles. Very happy about that because we had 2 that are about 20 years old. And guys are out there working, trying to get control of the weeds and all the other complaints and stuff that we had coming in.
I appreciate you guys jumping on that. Text you. All right. Our next meeting is August 15th, and then I will ask for public participation.
See my bio?
Read us at the Z or something. Yes, sir. All right, then, if there's nothing, I adjourn our meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Did 40 applicants, Matt?
You got me another song? Stay here.
What's that? I'm sorry? Yes, we just over 40.
14 positions, right?
Yeah,